everybody. Welcome back to Jersey Baseball Show. It's been a while since we've done one of these. We've kind of had the high school season in the way, but we're kicking back with another of our prospect showcase features here. Generation Next Superstars. We got one of the top players in South Jersey here, Mike Lucarelli, Paul VI. He just finished his junior year. We're bringing Mike on. He's one of our favorites to watch in the area, and just want to bring him on to talk about what's in store coming up, because we're Tulane verbal commit. They'll hopefully make that official come next November. Big summer ahead. Thanks for coming on, Mike.
Of course, it's a pleasure to be here.
Got the most handsome guy in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
No, that's like become the inside running joke, and I don't even remember how it started or
no idea.
I think we've beaten it to death, and I don't even care. We're just going to keep beating it to death for another year.
Of course. No, it's great. I never get tired of hearing it.
Yeah, sure. You never get tired of people calling you handsome. That's good.
Exactly.
Let's talk about, we'll start with your college commitment, verbal commitment to Tulane.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that story and how that happened. And then, just recently you went through really an interesting couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Jewett, who was, gave you the offer, you committed to him, was fired late in the season. And, kind of take us through the mindset of, someone who's verbally committed to a great college, great program, hasn't signed, and then has a couple of weeks of uncertainty. What was that like?
So to start off, my college commitment process started like when I was in eighth grade. I started going to, some camps for certain schools, some showcases, so I knew that the college commitment process was becoming more focused on, younger kids. It wasn't, kids weren't committing junior, senior year. Well, they are, but, more kids were committing in their underclass years. So I really started everything pretty early because I wanted to get as much exposure as I could. So I started going to showcases, but the big thing that helped me was going to, the PBR showcases. Last October, I went to one. They were videotaping it for coaches to, the live stream and everything, and did pretty good on that. I had my metrics where I had a PR in every metric, X velocity, throwing, 60 time. So that was a big showcase for me. So Tulane actually contacted me after that showcase, and they were like, we really like what we saw. We want to get to know you better. Obviously, potentially lead to a commitment. So from the moment I talked to Coach Jewett, he was different than any other coach I've talked to. He made me felt like I was wanted and I was welcome into the program. That's a big thing. That was a big thing for me. I didn't want to be another, just another commit to one of these colleges. I wanted to actually mean something to the coach, because I knew that would, you want to go where you wanted to play. So, we talked from October to February. We just made phone calls, touched base, and I came in contact with Coach Jay Ullman, which is the assistant coach, now head coach of the program. I started talking to more coaches. The relationship just, it was not like any other college coach I've talked to. It just felt right. Talking to these guys, it felt like they really had a connection with me, and I really connected to them. So we went down and we went to visit Tulane in last February. And I knew going into that visit that I wanted to commit there, and they've already offered me before that on a Zoom call, because you had to do everything virtually, still in that COVID period. But so we went down, and the thing that sucks is you couldn't even go on the field, or that you couldn't even you go in the locker room. They couldn't give you tours or anything because of the COVID. So, that sucked. But, of course, there was online pictures and all that stuff. So I kind of got a little idea of what I was, there for. But, so I told Coach Jewett and Coach Ullman that, I was ready, and, I felt something different with them, and it just, as soon as I stepped on the campus, it just felt right. It felt, I don't know, just different from any other college. And, I told them that, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to play. And, just their presence, the coaching presence just made me just really swept me off my feet, and that was the thing that, made other schools different from Tulane. But back to what you were saying earlier about the coaching change and everything.
Yeah, everything was great. Everything seemed like awesome, and you got the coach you want and the staff you want, and then all of a sudden the coach is gone. So what's it like as a top recruit when that happens?
So I was actually hitting off the tee when that happened, and I was just taking swings, and then one of the other commits sent something in our group chat, and it was like headline: Coach Travis Jewett of Tulane, leaves. And at the time, I wasn't very, I wasn't like, I don't know how to say it, like scared. I wasn't worried because I knew that like everything would work out fine. If I started to panic, then I start getting, thoughts like, like what do I do? What do I do? Do I decommit? All this stuff, and it overwhelms you. But I mean, I just stayed calm, and I texted Coach Ullman. He called me and he just let me know that everything's going to be okay. I just need to be patient and just wait to see what the athletic director decides. He said that he could become the head coach or they can bring new people in. So he just said that hang tight, don't jump ship, just be patient. So after about 2 weeks of waiting around, just, hearing all these rumors about, is it going to be this coach? Is it going to be this coach? We just got the news when it was just a couple of days ago that he was named the head coach. And, me and him have a great connection. So I was just thankful, I was really happy that they chose him to be the head coach. And I think that really is going to keep the team chemistry together. Because, Coach Jewett, he started a legacy with Tulane. They have a bunch of stuff like, they have this slap the wall challenge, where every time they win, they gather around, they scream, they get, they're a team like that, where like that's the stuff that gets them going, that keeps them winning. And, when the thing is, when you bring a new guy in, is they don't really know, how the program was ran before. So, but, I'm just glad that, Coach Jay is still there. And, he knows how it's been ran for the past couple of years, and he knows how to, keep that good feeling going,
And you got a chance to kind of hang out a little bit in New Orleans. That's probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I forgot to mention, I did visit this February. Again, I would visit in, and I actually got to tour everything, locker rooms. So, there was like an athletic lounge where all the kids do their homework, weight rooms, all of that. I got to meet a couple of the players. So really good experience for me. My parents got to talk to the coaches finally, really good experience. It was I went to the home opener. They swept UMass Lowell, so it was a good time down there.
And a great school too.
Great school. I mean, that's one of the things that that's also one of the things that made Tulane different. I mean, it's just the academic. I always put that first, academic, before baseball, because baseball's never a given. You need something to fall back on. Getting going to Tulane, obviously a really good school. My parents, grandparents value education a lot. It's a big thing to them. So they were happy, great baseball school, great academic school down south. You can't ask for more.
No, it's all great. And, certainly glad that it worked out the way that it did. Paul the Sixth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're Cherokee, by school district.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to watch their postseason success this year. But that decision, that was going into ninth grade.
Yeah, I was in eighth grade when I made the decision. It was in May of my eighth grade year. Yeah.
So you make that decision to go into ninth grade, and obviously there's some connection there, and just tell us about what that was like. What's it meant to be part of the Paul the Sixth family, at this point. And, we'll start with that, because then it gets interesting, because, you go there and then there is no freshman season. But,
yeah,
just making that decision to jump, I'm sure could not have been easy.
No, it wasn't easy at all. I knew that there was as much opportunity there was at PBI. I was also leaving a lot of things behind at Cherokee. So, it just came down to what's going to be better for me, personally, what's going to make my baseball career take off in a sense. No, back to what I was saying, it wasn't easy. I didn't really know anybody going into PVI. It was very sudden too. It wasn't like I had a lot of time to. It wasn't like I was
Right.
notified in like November. It was like I went to go shadow in May, made the decision in May, all very quick. But as hard as it was for me, I knew that I would be welcome at that school because I already had connections with Coach Young. I knew some of the baseball players going in, so that was an upside. But it was difficult. It was difficult at first, not knowing anybody. Never been to a Catholic school before as well. That's definitely a change. But I just knew that. I mean, that's what it needed to happen. If I wanted to be successful, if I wanted to be, a big role model for that team.
Yeah, and brief shout out, Coach Young, original and only Trenton Capitals head coach, ACBL, down at Barry U right now, recruiting half of the state of New Jersey down to Florida. I guess that's if you're in Miami and you're recruiting, you recruit those Northeast kids and just show them the campus in like January. Everyone's out playing ball,
Yeah. I was actually just talking to Coach Young a couple of days ago, just checking up on him, seeing how's everything's doing down at Barry. He said checking up on me, seeing how everything's going at PVI, how the team was doing and everything. So, we keep in touch every now and then, which, is I always loved Coach Young. He was like my father for 2 years. He coached me for 2 years. So I have, the utmost respect for him,
Absolutely. Same. And his kid and Brock keeps getting bigger and bigger.
That kid he's going to be a unit when he grows up.
He's going to be hitting bombs at like 8.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know.
So, this year, Paul the Sixth, obviously tough competition. You have a good season, kind of feel like you want a little bit more.
Yeah.
So many tough 1-run losses and obviously kind of culminating in like the toughest of the 1-run losses, against a CBA team that goes on to do bigger things.
Mm-hmm.
And the season ends with you stealing home last game, showing off the wheels a little bit.
Yeah.
And then being left in the on deck circle when when a 1-run game with the tying run on third. Next year's your team. You're the senior. You're one of the seniors. Obviously captain. What's the challenge to go from really, really good and just short of getting over the hump? How do you get over the hump? What's kind of like, what are you looking at as the challenge?
So the two biggest things this year that I was trying to enforce on our team that I'm going to enforce next year was 1, team chemistry, 2, the mindset when you go into the game. I think teams like Cherokee, Shawnee, like dominant teams like that they have good team chemistry. They all work together. And that's why they've made it as far as they have. But, you got to be in sync with your team. I feel like, just you work so much better. You play a lot looser when you know that your teammate has your back, when you can rely on other kids to pick you up, when you're not doing so good. So next year, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard from this year to next year because our whole team this year was seniors.
Yeah.
All of our team was seniors this year.
Yep.
So it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be hard. You're going to have a lot of underclassmen this year are going to be upperclassmen next year. You're going to need a lot of those guys to step up. A lot of those kids never played varsity baseball, and it's going to be new for them. But I'm just going to try to tell them that it's not about it's all about your mindset when you walk onto the field. This year that's something that I made a vital point for myself. Like before every game, I would go to the back of the dugout, take a couple deep breaths, close my eyes, and and during that time I would just lock in, like from now to the game end, the only thing I would have in my mind is winning. And I think that's what helped me this year, especially because, I was always big on the mental side of the game before this year, right? But I knew that if I wanted to take it to the next level, that would have to be my main focus. Because physical, I don't really personally, I don't have to worry about the physical capabilities. That's just given. It's the mental side that makes good players great players, and great players outstanding players.
Yep.
So next year, I mean, that's just going to be my two things. Is going to be, we got to work together as a team. You got to be able to trust each other, and the mentality is, it's not, when you walk in there, it's not about you. As hard as that might be for some kids, including myself. When you get there and you want to do good,
not just kids. It's hard for the adults too.
Exactly. So that's definitely a big step that the younger kids would definitely have to take. But I mean, I'm there to guide them. I'm gonna try to pass on as much as I know to them, because I know that if we do that, that makes for the best season that we can have.
The best teams play for each other. They're not
Exactly.
just themselves. Absolutely. You see that, and I've been lucky to get to see that across all over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that's the one constant, because
Mm-hmm.
there's tons of, you go on like the PBR rankings, and there's so many talented guys. There's so many more like physically talented guys than when I played, 30 years ago. But it's like the one constant still is, you got guys who are like rankings players, and then you got guys who are like winning players.
Dirtbags that just go out there and see that, and that's the thing too. Is, I mean, that I learned, especially like the last year, I was not undersized, but I definitely grew. I was 160 last year, and now I'm 180 this year. At least 180. During my younger years of playing, I wasn't one of those kids that was 6'1", 190 pounds at 12 years old. I was a little smaller, so I had to have another element to me that I could bring to the table. And that's really where I started getting into all of the, just the energy that you have to bring. I mean, those, other than talent separates guys from ordinary guys, but it also is your energy and your mindset. You can tell the guys that are out there and that are just dirt bags. They just want to play, they want to win, and that's all they're thinking about. And you can separate those guys from everybody else. And those guys are usually the people to succeed and carry the team on their back. So, that's just something that you just have to learn throughout the years, that, it's just, once you get to the higher levels of baseball, I mean, you can be as talented as you could be, but you got to have your mind right,
Yep, absolutely. Now, lifting became big for you, I guess, probably because you were small.
Yeah.
But when did that really kind of become a big thing?
So I was always lifting. Like, even I think my first time I was lifting was like maybe 9. Like, I was always doing training and sessions and
Right.
all, like, I was first child, so like I was always involved in all of that stuff.
Yep.
I go to a place called Parisi now, which is speed training and lifting and all that stuff. But I knew, looking at all these guys, I remember looking at like 2 years ago, I remember looking at all these guys and seeing at the top of the class, and they're all height is one thing, but you can be short and you can be fit, you can have a lot of weight to you. And the good thing about baseball is that you can be 5'6", you can be 6'1", you can be 5'10". It doesn't matter. It all just matters about how strong you can be, So, being undersized as I was, I knew that I had to, if I wanted to take it to the next level, that I had to gain weight and I had to put on muscle to throw faster, run faster, hit the ball harder. And, I really took that to heart. Every day I was making up my own workouts and stuff. I track my calories, make sure I'm getting enough protein, food, all that stuff, all that carbs, everything. And that's something that I didn't really pay attention to as much as I did till this year. And it definitely paid off for me. I physically, you can just see the difference. If you had pictures from me from this year to last year, you can just see it's just it's different. I just got a lot bigger, taller as well. And, it's just, that just helped me throughout the year.
Yeah, it certainly helps you play better for,
Yeah,
for a long grind. What
exactly.
are the goals for the summer? What's what's the schedule looking like for the summer?
So this is, we're actually supposed to be, we're playing in Cary, North Carolina, um, next week actually, but I'm not
Not you.
because I have finals, which
Yeah,
sucks because that tournament's really good. If you look at the teams that are in that tournament, it's legit, which
kind
sucks.
of
But
stinks to put academics first sometimes, doesn't it?
yeah, I know. So and then after that we play Georgia, Fort Myers, and we play in Hoover as well. All PG tournaments. For me personally, my goal this summer is I would just say exposure. Really, is just get as much exposure as I could from MLB guys. Anybody really. Obviously I want to play good in the summer. That's another thing. But I think what helped me this year was playing so many tournaments in the fall and the winter because if I would play a tournament in October and then play a tournament in January, and I could see the development from those months and I could track it. I could see like what I needed to improve on, what I got better at. And I think that helped me, a lot just with just the development of myself. And I think that it's just going to be helpful in the summer too. I don't know how spaced out our tournaments are. I imagine we have a week or two of break, but it's going to be good to play a tournament, take a step back, assess what happened, what do I need to focus on, what do I need to improve. I think that's just a maturity aspect that that good players take for account.
Yeah, definitely. Now we all know the Mike Lucarelli who's pumped and excited and ready to take cut your throat and win every game.
Yeah.
What do we like doing when it's not baseball season? We're getting into some more random questions now.
True. What do I like to do? Well, obviously gym. I like to go to the gym. That's not that's a little hobby. Um, I like to fish as well. I like to go down to the pond about like a lake, like 15 minutes from me. It's summer, get a nice tan. What else? Really just hanging with friends too. You gotta live a little bit. You're a kid. Um,
Absolutely.
what else is there? Not my life's kind of boring, honestly. Now that I think about it.
That's
No, but
not
yeah,
boring. That's all good things that you got
no,
going.
yeah. It gets repetitive at times, though. You're doing the same thing over and over again. Like wake up, lift, go hang with friends.
Yeah.
Another big thing is I really like to do is yoga and all that like recovery stuff. I mean, that's something that I think helped me just as much as lifting and nutrition is just the recovery and making sure that my body was at its top performance. I realized, I had tight hips, really tight hips going into last year. So I made sure that, I stayed in touch with that. I had some arm problems, some shoulder problems, and you're playing a season that's, 25 games and, practice every day. Towards the end of the season, it starts to get the guys, they start to wear down, like, they start to get injured and all that stuff. This season, after every practice, every game, I would, roll out, do some yoga for about, 15, 20 minutes, nothing crazy. But I found that really beneficial. And that's a hobby I like to do, stretch and all that stuff.
And you're saying 25 games. I mean, you're going to be doubling that in a couple of years. You're obviously going to want to, you
Exactly.
want longer than that. You got to be ready to go every day and,
I know.
Not wear out from like those little, those tiny injuries add up and get you, as much as the big injuries.
And I think that's something that I did good this year was, everybody's gets little injuries. You're not going to play sport and be 100% healthy all the time. Like something is always going to be messing with you, whether it's your ankle or your wrist, your arm. I think I did a good job this year making sure that, those little injuries didn't turn into something bigger, and I took the time to make sure that wouldn't become a problem.
Yeah, definitely. Now, nutrition is big, obviously. What's your favorite to eat?
I'm a big protein shake guy. I like protein shakes because I get to make all types of flavors and all that stuff. But if I had to go food, I would have to say I would have to be boring, just like chicken or steak, some type of meat, chicken, rice, broccoli, all that stuff. I have a cheat meal every once in a while. I'll have like a cupcake or whatever. Yeah, we're all human.
Yeah. We go steak, we go medium rare. How do we?
Medium rare. Depends on
Medium
how
is
you're
kind of boring. You gotta
feeling.
go for it a little bit. Now,
Yeah.
we see a Red Sox flag in the background there. You're not
Yeah.
really in Red Sox country, so tell us how that started, and then tell us who your favorite player is in the MLB right now.
So Red Sox is from my dad. My dad grew up in Philly, not Philly, in Pennsylvania. His whole family was Yankee fans, and for some reason he was the only Boston fan in his town, is what he tells me. But yeah, ever since I was a kid, he raised me as a Boston fan, and I couldn't say no because I would get kicked out of the house
Right, and
if I
that's
didn't.
little Mikey's a little too couldn't take care of himself at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. So favorite player on the Red Sox, I would have to say either or Devers or Bogarts. They're two infielders from the left side.
I'm gonna say you're going with like
Yeah,
older versions of you.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. The two positions. Yep, third base and shortstop. My two favorite positions. Yeah, but they're I love them. Those guys. They're studs.
Pre-game routine. We go music. What do we go pre-game?
Pre-game, this is what I do. So before every game, I had an energy drink. That's just something I felt like I needed to do. Gets me going a little bit. But what I did for most of the season, towards the end of the season especially, was I would go by myself to, I don't know, back in the dugout or wherever it was quiet and I could just focus. I would sit down, meditate in a sense, not really, but close my eyes, take a couple deep breaths, and I would just lock in, mentally, and I would make sure that I was not thinking about anything else other than winning. And I think that was like a big jump for me, is like, because last year I didn't do that last year, and this year I felt like it just helped me so much with just relaxing, playing loose. It slows the game down a lot too. When you're trying to play baseball at a fast pace, it doesn't go well. That's just, taking a deep breath, just slowing everything down. It made the game it made it a lot more fun too.
See it more out of pitchers, I think, because it's just more obvious there when they speed things up and it kind of falls apart. But yeah, hitters too. You start chasing, you start doing
exactly. Yeah, you get anxious up there when the game's going fast. You get anxious up there. You start swinging at pitches that are not, you're not being disciplined. You just rush. And before every pitch, I take my bat, another deep breath, look at a spot on my bat, and just calm down, loosens up the nerves a little bit, and ready to go. I think I wrote it on my glove this year. Was my keyword this year was loose, because that was something that I found myself in the off season and last year. I would just get so excited, so tight, that it would just make it wouldn't work. And I found that keywords that I would write on my glove. I learned that from Nate Trosky. He told me to write, words on your glove that you could relate to and that would bring you back to reality almost. So for me, after thinking for a while, I was like, loose. Yeah, loose. I feel like that is a word that, I can look at and I can just take a deep breath and everything just becomes a lot easier, and I think especially fielding and hitting too. I wrote it on my glove, but I would think the same thing in the box though.
Yeah. Music, we big on that before games, and if so, what are we, if we're in control of the pregame music, what are we going for?
So this is the thing. So I'm more pregame. You have to up the. You have to play a little more hype music. So I'm big with rap. I would say. I get some metal in there too. You know, rap, metal, no country before games. I like country, but not before games.
Not before games, of course.
I mean, that was really it. Like, I just have a trillion rap songs that get me pumped up. My favorite one probably, like before game, favorite song probably, oh, Death by Trippie Redd. I don't know if you know that song, but it sounds extreme. It's meant to sound extreme because
Yeah, well, I'm sure it is. That's right.
Yeah.
It's South Jersey. So, what's your favorite shore town?
I would have to say Ocean City. I go between CI and Ocean City, but Ocean City, there's a lot more to do, and all my friends go down there.
There's a lot more vibe of like your, it's a young person's place.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's where all the kids go. Cherokee,
Yes.
PVI, they're all down there.
They're all down there. That's right. PVI goals for next year. It's got to be state title, right?
Well, yeah, we're gonna try.
Yeah.
That should always be the mentality when you're starting high school season.
Exactly.
You should never be aiming to.
You
should be shooting for the stars, land on the clouds.
Yeah, exactly. If that's not your goal now, then you're doing
exactly.
It
wrong. Yeah. Nobody. Yeah, you should always shoot for the stars. But yeah, we're gonna try to go out there and give it give it as much as we could. We're gonna have a lot of younger guys this year that are gonna need to step up, and they'll come to realize that that we need everything they have from them. It's a big jump from playing JV to varsity. It's a very big jump in skill and mentality and attitude. And I think that if I could install the passion that these kids that you need to be successful, like you need passion to play baseball, especially if you're playing with no passion, then you might as well just sit in the dugout and be on the bench because it's not going to work for you. Because I'm thinking about the kid on the other team wants it more than I do, and I have to. It's almost kind of like mind games, really. Is you have to battle with each other. Who wants it more? You just have to. You gotta get that mentality, that kind of not cocky, but you have to have that swag to you if you want to.
Yeah.
If you want to play at your fullest potential, you can't play timid and shy, because that's not what great players do. You look at every college player, especially, the first thing that comes to mind, the kids on Tennessee, they play, they give it everything they got, and that's, I love that, even though it's controversial sometimes, what they do, but I love it. It shows that they're there to play and they're there to win.
You can't be great until you're not afraid to lose, and you just
exactly. Yeah.
Last one here for you then. How do you're going to have scouts, you're going to have people. You said you wanted the not the attention, but you want to obviously the exposure.
Yeah.
People are watching Mike Lucarelli play. How do you want them to see you as?
I want them to see me as just a grinder. I go out there and I just give it everything I have, whether it's on the field, it's on the bench, it's in the batter's box. Like, I want them to see that this kid, is there to play and he's there to show up. Because I think that leaves a lasting impression on not only fans, but coaches too, MLB scouts, all these people, they want kids that, aren't, after they strike out, they're not going to the dugout and throwing their equipment and all of that stuff. And, mope around on the bench. Like, they want ball players. They go out there and give it everything they have, whether it's good or bad, So big thing this summer is just go out there and just play with an attitude and make that known to people. Not in a cocky way, of course, but know that I'm there to play and I'm there to give it everything I got.
Definitely. Michael, thank you.
Sure.
It's not a secret. One of our favorite players to watch get after it. kind of wish you were ready to go into college so we could talk some ACBL, but
Yeah.
certainly really happy that you got another year of high school left to see what you do with it, and gonna do some great things, right?
Oh yeah, I'm planning on it. You bet.
Absolutely. Mike Lucarelli, our guest, headed to Tulane eventually, but we got some stuff to accomplish before then. That's this week's episode of JBS. We look forward to catching everyone at the field.